Hey everybody, how's it? Aloha, this is Geebz here, your old composer here at the Decomposer Lounge. Happy Aloha Friday to you. And the Happy Aloha Friday, I'm going to bring with you a band called Disillusion, and the song is called Wintertide. This was a very special suggestion. And, excuse me, I was doing a little homework, and it looks like they are progressive melodic death metal. And that makes sense too, because I looked at this and I went, oh man, this is almost 13 minutes long. So let's sit down, let's relax, let's get into this. Sounds like it's probably going to be a banger, but progressive, so could be a lot of techie musicianship going on here. And I believe they were out of Germany, is what I read briefly. Anyhow, like usual, thank you so much for a cup of coffee, or any way that you help this channel, whether you leave a comment, you like, you sub, you buy a cup of coffee, that's great. The links are down below from that. The link will also be down below for this video that we're watching here. And it's a lyric video, so that's good. Because if it has any of that growling, powerful kind of vocals, I'll be able to see it. If it doesn't, well, it'll make life that much easier. All right, guys, let's do this. This is Disillusion, Wintertide. All right. Okay, the first thing I want to say that I noticed just when the drums and all came in, you know how the drums are really kind of pulled back in the mix? Very unique in considering the fact that, I know each style or each genre of metal have different ways of mixing things, and it seems that that this particular style, very thematic, very, very big on the intro and stuff, and big on the ambience, setting the ambience of it. But, I mean, before I get to the ambient metal section, I just want to get to that place where the drums are just tucked in the back. And it's very unique, but it works fantastic with the tones of the guitars. It's a game. If whether you're, with the pure listener, which is most of you here who just listen to music, they don't know anything about, the music thing. But if you're an engineer, you know what I'm talking about when it comes to having to do that, the unique choices of where do you place the drums, where's the power going to place and stuff, and a lot of it has to do also with the tones of the instruments and what's going to cut through the most. So I noticed the drums are kind of sunk back there. But it's great. It's just different because I'm used to a lot of more presence and heavier presence in this. Love the guitar tones. And when I was talking about setting the ambience, the very opening, they have these powerful guitar chords that are happening. There's movement going on there, but they're giving life to what's, I think that was like an acoustic guitar opening of sorts. It wasn't very aggressive or anything, but they let that live in the mix and they left that a little higher. Narrative-wise, as far as these lyrics that I'm reading, I thought I was going to be in for some more heavier, kind of darker kind of singing and stuff. And there was actually these last, probably 30 seconds of stuff. There was some of that in there. But I really like this approach. Very storytelling, very much that whole movement that comes from Europe, that comes from very long historic storytelling. It's been very well represented in metal on my journey, only a year and a half going through this. And this has got a great sound. And I love the way it feels and everything. So I'm going to just continue on. I just wanted to stop and just talk briefly about the drums. Then I'll get on the next stop a little deeper into some more musical breakdown.
A relentless mirage, dire circles of reminiscence. So distant now, what once did lie so clear then. A relic in a tone, a wound that would never heal. Years of desolate, whose was failure now will have to live with it. Dreams ignite and die by the fireside. And in nighttime longing and wintertide reveries, in the slumber, in the dream, in the glistening white I see. Nighttime longing and wintertide reveries. In a slumber, in a dream, in the glistening light I see. And in nighttime longing and wintertide reveries. In the rocking and the breeze, in crystalline euphony.
Excuse me. So it seems like there's no two ways about it. We just now stepped it up the burner a bit here. And so we just had that full run of full-on powerful performance from the vocalist as he gets a little forward. One thing I want to lean into is listening to the fact, too, that there's something that I've noticed a lot of with bands of this genre is there's usually, not all the time, a keyboard player involved. And though keyboards very rarely get the lead, or get a lot of the upfront energy, unless you're like, Dream Theater or something. These long sustained pads in the background that add to the ambience so that the guitar riffing and arrangements can stand out on its own but not lose any of the ambience. Ambience is created by many different ways. A lot of times it could be used with delays and reverbs and stuff like that to give it that long, kind of darker, kind of that hull, ambient, ethereal kind of vibe. But if you have a lot of motion going on with the guitars and stuff like that, that can muddy it up. Having a keyboard in the background, even lightly, and it doesn't have to be a soft pad sound. It could be aggressive, but as long as it's got a hard left and right presence in the mix, and even if they're just holding down these, half notes, going through, the arrangements and stuff like that, it really adds a lot of width to it. And in this case, there's so much great riff work going on there, like I said earlier, that you don't want to muddy that up. So, and the other thing is about the riff work, it's not over the top. It's very accessible. So that it's not like obviously they can they sound like they're fantastic musicians. The arrangements and the riff arrangements on this are just enough to just kind of show you that they can kick ass and take no hostages, but they leave a lot of space. It's not top to bottom, it's not constant and stuff like that. That's why these sections that are these big power chords that just lean out and just kind of let it fry for a while kind of gives you that place to kind of readjust and stuff. And the drummer is just absolutely killing it. The more I listen to this track, the more I'm getting into where the drums are in the mix on this. Yeah, if the pure listener only knew what it took to be an engineer and what it is to assemble this stuff in the layers, I think it's one of those just unsung things in the music industry world. Yes, there's a credit there, and yes, they make money and they do very well if they're good engineers and stuff. But if you were to sit there and just got in front of a console and there was a massive options there, and you come out with something like this, there's so much work that goes behind it. That's why I always say the engineer is always part of the band during the recording. Okay, this was so far. This is my favorite part of the song, in the sense that with the layers that are going on there, because they went ahead and just fully downshifted to put us on a glide. It's a lot more. I can hear a lot more of the layers and the intricacy of what it is that they're doing in their arrangements and stuff. There was a little bit of rhythm trickery going on that kind of readjusted itself at the beginning. I love the fact that they just went whoop, bam, beautiful acoustic guitar going there. Excuse me, but they kept it really nice and present, even though they come in with these muted, little chugs that are going on there. They're not stepping on it, and the whole energy shift of this section is what it needed. Like, I felt like there was got to be something that's coming around the corner that's going to, show me a little bit more about the musicianship and the arrangement capabilities and stuff of the members of the band, or whoever the main arrangers are. And that whole that whole vibe is a completely, it's a huge shift from the whole opening, entourage, or barrage, not entourage, barrage of, different riffs and stuff like that. There hasn't been like a particular hook that I've been able to kind of reflect on, which I do know in this style of music, in this genre, it's not about hooks, it's not about being pop oriented and getting a song in and out in 3.5 minutes. It's a huge journey. And that's what this seems like. But this part of the journey musically for me is when everything really settled and I was able to pick out all these things. You saw me going like this. I love the ghost notes that the drummer's playing through that section. At the very beginning, it didn't sound like he had them going on, but he made it a purposeful part of the arrangement in this last half here. So when bands do this, to me, that's like in my mind, I could see the process of writing in this is more storyline, more, what's the word? Like a part of a play, a part of a musical, kind of an aspect of it. So that's why the journey, that's why it's very long, that's why these types of these types of bands and stuff, especially the ones that come out of Europe and stuff, are very big on the storytelling and very powerful, and all the fans that follow this are, in for the ride on this kind of thing. So I love this section we just heard. Jeez, that was a huge ending. Something else I want to talk about, the vocals on this. What a really great array of different uses of vocals. I don't know if it's a single vocalist in the band, or if sometimes I found that maybe a drummer might be more the growler, does that part of the vocals and stuff. But they gave us different, like 4 different types of vocals, from spoken word to the growling to more of the. Remember, I just got through saying about the hook and stuff. Well, there was nothing to hook on, but this last section I just listened to had 2 sections that really got heavy and deep, and I started getting into the flow of their hook, because sonically, there is the lyrics in front of me and stuff like that, so I could see that they were repeating phrases. But when you're closing your eyes and you're listening, which is 99% of the listeners, especially on a first-time listen, you reach for something that you can kind of get yourself into, and those last 2 sections really gave you something to bite into, hook-wise, as far as memorizing or feeling like you have an idea of when it's repeating itself, and you can get in da 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 da, whatever it is that's going on. There's 2 of those that actually happened here. But I want to just lean back into the fact that I guess a band like this and these, I'm not saying this in comparison because I have a very small volume of, like the Nightwish type bands and stuff like that are these huge productions, theatrical metal kind of style compositions. This was great, in that aspect of it. Now, the progressive melodic death metal description of this, I'm still kind of on. I'm not too sure what that means, except for that. Well, I mean, it's obvious in the title of the genre that it just really means that it can expanding the possibilities of types of arrangements you can do and how many sections you can shift through. Experiencing the musicianship of the band members. But I really this is such a unique thing for me, because when you hear death, anything. It's not an image in a normal person's kind of world, where when you hear death metal music, you're expecting something, but then that's darker and heavier and really But you throw the word prog or progressive or melodic and stuff like into it. This is the kind of, I guess, death metal or progressive melodic death metal. I really dig this type of work because it's so progressive in its composition and its arrangements. So it's this journey that constantly keeps shifting, and I'm that guy, regardless of being a composer, as a businessman, what I do for a living, I'm the guy that gets very intrigued by really great shifts in arrangements and layering and stuff, and double melodic, hooks are going to, the hook is being sung here in the vocals, but there's another lead line that they were doing here with the guitar that was supporting both the vocals here and also the chord changes that were going below it, and I'm very intrigued by that kind of work and stuff, and this really killed it for me. Anyhow, thank you very much. If you're still here, type in "I'm still here." Once again, thank you so much for your support. This was a special request, and the band, again, Disillusion, and the song is Wintertide. The link is down below. Thank you guys for hanging out. Have a killer weekend. Aloha.
All right.